I first met in person with Mary in the summer of 2007. I had arranged with her husband of 15 years, Terrence, to see her for an interview. Mary had initially agreed, since I was not a newsman but rather an amateur to gather information for a few early college assignments and to follow one according to plan, some pieces of fiction. We scheduled the interview for a particular weekend when I was in Chicago on unrelated business. But at the last moment, Mary changed her mind and locked herself in the couple's bedroom, refusing to meet with me for a half an hour. I sat with Terrence as we camped outside the bedroom door, listening and taking notes while he attempted fruitlessly to become his wife. The things Mary said made little sense but fit with the pattern I was expecting, though I could not see her. I could tell from her voice that she was crying, and more often than not, her objections to speaking with me centered around an ignorant diatribe on her dreams, her nightmares. Terrence apologized profusely when we ceased to exercise, and I did my best to take it in stride and recall that I wasn't a reporter in search of a story, but merely a curious young man in search of information. Besides, I thought at the time I could perhaps find another similar case if I put my mind and resources to it. Mary was the size up for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1990, and when she first encountered Smiled Spade, her life changed forever. She and Terrence had been married for only 5 months. Mary was one of an estimated 400 people who saw the image. When it was posted as a hyperlink on the BSS, she is the only one who has spoken openly about the experience. The rest have remained anonymous, or all perhaps dead. In 2005, when I was only in 10th grade, Smiled Spade was first brought to my attention by my burgeoning interest in web-based phenomenon. Mary was the most often cited victim of what is sometimes referred to as Smiled Dog. The being Smiled Spade is reputed to display. What caught my interest, other than the obvious macabre elements of the cyber legend and my proclivity towards such things, was the sheer lack of information, usually to the point that people don't believe it even exists other than as a rumor or hoax. It is unique because the entire phenomenon centers on a picture file. That file is nowhere to be found on the internet, certainly many photomounted with its simulacra to the web, showing up with the most frequency on sites such as the Magador Fork and particularly the X-Focus Paranormal subreddit. It is suspected these are fakes because they do not have the effect that Smiled Spade is believed to have, namely sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. This purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons the phantom like Smiled JPG is regarded with such disdain, since it is patently absurd. But depending on whom you ask, the reluctance to call Smiled JPG's existence might be just as much out of fear as it is out of disbelief. Neither Smiled JPG nor Smiled Dog is mentioned anywhere on Wikipedia, though the website features articles on such other, perhaps more scandalous shock sites as Hello JPG or Twigel Sprunk. In an attempt to create a page pertaining to Smiled JPG is summarily deleted by any of the encyclopedia's many amends. Encounters with Smiled.Spade are the stuff of internet legend. Mary, his story is not unique, and there are unverified rumors of Smiled.Spade showing up in the early days of use, and even one persistent tale that in 2000 a hacker flooded the forums of humor and satire website, something awful with a deluge of Smiled.Dog pictures, render almost half the forums users at the time epileptic. It is also said that in the mid to late 90s that Smiled.jpg circulated in as an attachment of a chain email with a subject line. Yet despite the huge exposure these stunts would generate, there are very few people who admit to having experienced any of them, and no trace of the fall or any link has ever been discovered. Those who claim to have seen Smiled.jpg often weakly joke that they were far too busy to save a copy of the picture to their hard drive. However, all alleged victims offer the same description in a photo of a dog-like creature, usually described as appearing similar to a Siberian Husky, illuminated by the flash of the camera. It sits in a dim room, the only background detail that is visible being a human hand extending from the darkness to the left side of the frame. The hand is empty, but is usually described as beckoning. Of course, most attention is given to the dog creature. Some victims are more certain than others about what they claim to have seen. The muzzle of the beast is reputedly split in a wide grin, revealing the rows of very white, very straight, very sharp, very... This is, of course, not a description given immediately after viewing the picture, but rather a recollection of the victims, who claim to have seen the picture endlessly repeated in their mind's eye during the time they are, in reality, having epileptic fits. These fits are reported to continue indeterminately, often while the victims sleep, resulting in very vivid and disturbing nightmares. These may be treated with medication, though in some cases it is more effective than others. Marion, I assume, was not on effective medication. That was why after my visit to her apartment in 2007, I sent out feelers to several folklore and urban legend-oriented news groups, websites, and mailing lists, hoping to find the name of a supposed victim of Smiled Jade who felt more interested in talking about his experiences. For a time, nothing happened, and at length I forgot completely about my pursuits. Since I had begun my freshman year of college and was quite busy, Mary contacted me via email, 11 near the beginning of March 2008.
I goodbye, Moses. To your call from my night. Subject summer's interview. Dear Mr. I'm incredibly sorry about my behavior last summer when you came to interview me. I hope you understand that it was no fault of yours, but rather my own problems that led me to act out as I did. I realized that I could have handled the situation more decorously. However, I hope you will forgive me the time I was afraid.
You see it for
for
50
15
seconds.
years I have been handed by
Yes,
Smile Dog Jock. Smile Dog.
Bominomic, can you shut the fuck up? I'm trying to read this email and your stroke is giving me a headache. Shut the fuck up and go to business, CSD.
You see, for 15 years I have been handed by Smile Dog Jock. Smile Dog Jock comes to me in my sleep every night. I know that sounds silly, but it is true. There's an ineffable quality about my dreams, my nightmares, that makes them completely unlike any real dreams I have ever had. Oh, I do not move and do not speak. I simply look ahead, and the only thing ahead of me is the scene from that horrible picture. I see the beckoning hand, and I see Small Dog. It talks to me. It is not a dog with us. Oh, I'm not quite sure what it really is. It tells me it will leave me alone if only I do as it. Score, Mr. says it. Spread the word. That is how it phrases its demands. And I know exactly what it means. It wants me to show it to someone else. And I could, the week after my incident, I received in the mail a mailing envelope with no return address. Inside was only a 3-1-inch floppy diskette with that, having to check under precisely what was on it. Oh, I thought for a long time about my chance. I could show it to a stranger, a collector. I could even show it to chance as much as the idea disgusted me. And what would happen then? Well, if Smido kept this word, I could sleep yet. What would I do when it was to say something worse would not come for me if I did as the creature asked it. So I did nothing for 15 years. But I kept the diskette. It reminds my things every night for 15 years. Small Dog has come to me in my sleep and demanded that I spread the word for 15 years. I have stood strong, though there have been a time many of my fellow victims on the board we have first encountered Smudge stopped past in their heads. Some of them committed suicide. Others remained completely silent, simply disappearing off the face of the world. They are the ones who worry about the mice. I sincerely hope you will forgive me, Mr. But last summer when you contacted me and my husband about an interview. Whether or not I feel sorrow when you smiled or was lying on that, wanted it to with the breaking point decided we're going to give you the floppy diskette. I deny you. Well, strange to me, I had no connect took the diskette as part of your set touch and seal your fate. Before you arrived, I realized what I was doing was plotting to ruin your life. I could not stand the thoughts, and in fact, I still cannot. I'm ashamed. We'll dissuade you from further investigation of Smoke. You may in time encounter someone wise if not weaker than or more depraved. Someone will not hesitate to follow Smoke down to others. Stop while you are still warm. Sincerely, Murray.
Terrence contacted me later that month with the news that his wife had killed herself while cleaning up the various things she left behind, closing email accounts, and the like. He happened upon the above message. It was a man in shambles, and he wept as he told me to listen to his wife's advice. He'd found a diskette. He revealed and burned it until it was nothing but a stinking pile of blackened plastic. The part that most disturbed him, however, was how the diskette had hissed as it melted, like some sort of animal, he said. I will admit that I was a little uncertain about how to respond to this. At first I thought perhaps it was a joke with a couple belatedly playing with the situation in order to get a rise out of me. A quick check of several Chicago newspapers and online obituaries, however, proved that Mary was indeed dead. There was, of course, no mention of suicide and all. I decided that, for a time at least, I would not further pursue the subject of my speak, especially since I had finals coming up at the end of May. But the world has odd ways of testing us. Almost a full year after I'd returned from my disastrous interview with Mary, I received another email.
To Jumbo come! Ferocity to come! Subject smile! Ho! I found your email address through a mailing list. Your profile said you are interested in Smilodon. I have thought it is not as bad as everyone says. I have sent it to you here. Just spreading the word. Yay!
The final line chilled me to the bone. According to my mail client, there was one file enhancement called Naturally Smile.jpg. I considered downloading it for some time, and was mostly likely a fake, I imagine. And even if it weren't, I was never wholly convinced of Smilo.jpg's peculiar powers. Mary's account had shaken me, yes, but she was probably mentally imbalanced anyway. After all, I could a simple image of what Smilo.jpg was said to accomplish. What sort of creature was it that could break one's mind with only the power of awe? And if such things were patently absurd, then why did the legend exist at all? If I downloaded the image, if I looked at it, and if Mary turned out to be correct, if Smile Dog came to me in my dreams demanding I spread the word, what would I do? Would I live my life as Mary had, fighting against the urge to give in until I died? Or would I simply spread the word? He could be put to rest, and if I chose the latter route, how could I do it? Who would I burn in turn? If I went through with my earlier intention to write a short article about Smile.jpg, I decided I could attach it as evidence. And anyone who read the article, anyone who took interest, would be affected.
And even assuming the Smile.jpg attached to the mail was genuine, Lloyd. Can I spread the word? Yes, yes I could. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word.